Hey, this is Warren Redlick. I am here in Vietnam. You can see my delightful view out the window of the beach in Vietnam. Just wanted to talk about Dan Ives. This is Dan Ives. He is a Wall Street analyst. You can see he appears on, I guess that's CNBS or CNBC or whatever we're calling it these days. So Dan posted this. Yesterday was a dark day for Tesla. This is the Q4 earnings report and the Q4 earnings call. He gives a top 10 list of what Elon needs to do to turn around the Tesla narrative. And he gives this presentation on CNBC Closing Bell, CNBS, whatever you want to call it, with Scott Wapner. So he's got this top 10 list. So I want to stress, he's wrong about every single one of these items. Just very clear. Wrong about every single one. We're going to go through them one by one. Start with number one. Announce a $10 billion share buyback with roughly $30 billion of cash on hand. Walk the walk, not just the talk, and show confidence to investors. What does this have to do with showing confidence to investors, and why? Tesla is not a con game. Okay, showing confidence is what a con man does. Tesla's mission. This is going to permeate this video. What is Tesla's mission? The initial mission, that I think is still a mission and maybe not the primary mission anymore, is to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy. Accelerate the transition to sustainable energy, accelerate the transition to sustainable transportation with Tesla. There's a new thing that may change the mission or may add to the mission, which is develop real-world AI and maybe develop AGI, artificial general intelligence. There is a race going on with Meta and Google and OpenAI. Microsoft's involved through OpenAI and maybe otherwise. There's others that are trying to develop artificial general intelligence. There's a lot of things happening in a lot of different contexts about artificial intelligence. And so a mission that Elon talks about with all his companies is maximize the probability that the future is good. Now, one part of making the future good is accelerating the transition to sustainable energy. Having a growing colony on Mars, self-sustaining and growing colony on Mars, maximizes the probability that the future is good, that humanity survives if a cataclysmic event hits Earth. Starlink improves quality of life for people who don't have good internet access. Boring Company aims to solve soul-crushing traffic. Neuralink aims to cure brain diseases. All things that make the future good, trying to increase the probability that the future will be good. That is an underlying mission of Elon's, what Elon tries to do. So, announcing a share buyback does not accelerate the transition to sustainable energy. It does not accelerate the transition to sustainable transportation. It does not increase the probability that the future is good. It doesn't do anything towards the mission of the company. The mission of the company is not to make Wall Street analysts happy with how Tesla communicates with Wall Street analysts and the world. That's not the mission of the company. And a $10 billion share buyback does not increase the probability that the future is good. And there's a critical issue here, which is we live in uncertain economic times. I don't know if there's ever certain economic times, but we are riding an interesting wave of economic turmoil. If there is a major recession, having a big cash pile helps ensure that Tesla survives a major recession. Doing a $10 billion share buyback does not increase the probability that Tesla survives a recession. It increases the probability that Tesla fails in a recession. That big cash pile is insurance against difficult economic times. They may be coming, they may not be coming. But a share buyback does nothing to help with those. Because I would love for somebody to explain to me what, because this is a Gary Black or Barry Glack or, there's other people who talk about share buybacks. Alexandra Merz was on the share buyback thing for a while. Tesla boomer mama. What does it do to advance the mission of the company? And the answer is nothing. Nothing. It's something that appeases shareholders, people with short-term outlooks. It doesn't do anything for long-term investors. There's a theory that, well, if the stock price is low, buying stock shows confidence that the company is worth more than the stock price. Elon doesn't care about Dan Ives' confidence in the stock price. Doesn't. That's not the mission of the company. That's not Elon's focus. Elon's focus is increase the probability that the future is good, accelerate the transition. That doesn't do it. Number two, create an X holding structure that will include AI initiatives Dojo Optimus FSD to give Musk more control and could get him to 25% voting level. This is one of these like, yeah, it would be nice if there was a way of doing that. There's no clear way of doing this. Like, what is this holding structure? Is this in the interests of Tesla shareholders to create this holding structure? Are we putting other, because when we've talked about an X holding structure before, it was somehow putting SpaceX, Boring Company, Neuralink. What's in this X holding structure? This is like mumbo jumbo, right? Would this be in the interests of Tesla shareholders? Probably not. Could you imagine the lawsuits that would be filed if Tesla announced we're taking out Dojo, Optimus, and FSD from Tesla, putting it in a separate company called X that's a holding company that's connected to Tesla, and Tesla owns some stock, but now Elon has 25% voting control over that portion of the company? Do you think there's a chance that Tesla would get sued in Delaware court over this game? I think so. I mean, I don't hate the idea of there's a way of making it work, but I don't think it's a meaningful solution. And I frankly think, we can solve this with a compensation package, and we have to wait until the Delaware court resolves Elon's first compensation package before we address a new compensation package. But if you think this game wouldn't end up in Delaware courts, you're just not paying attention to how this stuff works. And does it accelerate the transition to sustainable energy? No. Does it increase the probability that the future is good? No. I mean, I think there's something to take Tesla's AI initiative and maybe merge it with XAI and move it to XAI, have XAI gives, Tesla ends up owning stock in XAI, but it just gets messy. And there's this question, you just know that there's going to be shareholders suing Tesla over this, and they might win. Like, I don't know, they try to do things right and they get sued, and sometimes they lose. So is putting time and effort into coming up with financial games and shareholding games and percentage ownership games, is that the smart move? I don't think so. Can you really extract FSD from Tesla? I don't think so. Can you really extract Optimus from Tesla? I don't think so. Tesla's going to manufacture it. I don't see how you do it. Dojo? Maybe Dojo could be moved over to XAI, but I don't think this accomplishes it. Stop the price cuts now and maintain margin leverage over other auto players. Margin leverage? Tesla isn't a margin-focused company. Tesla's mission is to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy and transportation. Tesla wants to sell as many cars as they can. If they have to lower prices to sell more cars, they'll lower prices to sell more cars. What they have told us they do is they figure out how much they produced, and they see what demand is, and they adjust prices on a weekly or more basis to try to match demand with the amount of production that they have. That's what they're doing. And if interest rates go up, they're going to lower prices. And if interest rates go down, they're probably going to raise prices. They don't control interest rates. Elon doesn't control interest rates. I don't control interest rates. Dan Ives doesn't control interest rates. So that's what's going to happen. So stop the price cuts. First of all, it's not just price cuts. The prices have gone up. People are complaining that Cybertruck is too expensive. And now you're telling me we got to worry about price cuts. What are we doing here? Hold an AI day before the summer timeframe so investors can better understand the goals for Dojo, Optimus, and FSD. Well, I don't know what you've been paying attention to, but the rest of us understand the goals for Optimus, Dojo, and FSD. We've had 2 AI days and an autonomy day. How do you not know what the goals are? We understand the goals. The goals for Dojo are to develop AI training supercomputer that can do a better job than NVIDIA for what Tesla needs. Not just do a better job, but to deliver more compute for less cost, in particular energy cost. Elon has a concern that he's said this and he's been clear, that the future will be won by whoever can deliver the most training for the lowest energy cost. And, capital efficiency as well. If they can manufacture Dojo at scale and make it competitive with the NVIDIA hardware, then it's a winner. That's the purpose of Dojo. And also, in the event that there's a shortage of NVIDIA compute, Dojo provides compute that's not available otherwise. There's a massive shortage of chips, and if Dojo provides another angle to provide training hardware, that is optimized for FSD and bot Optimus. That's its purpose. And then we know that plans for a level 1 for a Dojo 1.5, which is probably just more Dojo for video training for the cars for FSD and for Optimus to some extent. And then there's a version 2 and the version 3 that are coming. So we know that this is a long-term plan. And we're pretty sure that Dojo version 2 and version 3 are going to be more generalized. They're not going to be limited to understanding video and training on navigating space. Like Optimus is going to need not just navigating space, but also manipulating objects. And there's going to be understanding language is going to be an important part of making FSD and Optimus work. And understanding human communication and other communications. And so incorporating large language models and maybe incorporating other neural net models. So that's what Dojo is about. Optimus is to do work that is dangerous, repetitive, and boring. This was explained. But to replace human labor as much as possible. Right now we have labor shortages around the world, but if Tesla is able to deliver Optimus at scale, as in tens or hundreds or billions of hundreds of millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions, or billions of bots, then you're able to do labor at a much larger scale at a lower cost. And in Elon's words, he doesn't even know what an economy is anymore. If the bots effectively supply labor, I don't agree with Elon's characterization of it. I think bots are just more capital, and human labor will work around it, and it will increase the productivity of human labor. That's how I view it. I don't think we ever get to the point where there's no human labor involved, so you're just increasing the productivity of human labor. But Elon's perspective is that the bots essentially become labor, and then we end up with an infinite supply of labor. And then there's really no limits to the economy. I don't agree with Elon, but that's the picture that Elon has painted repeatedly. So an AI day is not necessary for that. And it's not the purpose of AI days, by the way. And what's the purpose of FSD? Are you kidding? The purpose of FSD is to drive a car safer than human, better than human, and ultimately lead to a robo-taxi network. This is all explained. That was explained at Autonomy Day in 2019. And I've modeled it out. Stephen Mark Ryan has modeled it out. Dave Lee has talked about this. We've explained how FSD works in terms of revenue generation and profit generation for Tesla. And you don't know it if you don't know it, if you're not paying attention. But if anybody's paying attention, it's pretty transparent. So, and the purpose of AI Day was not to help investors better understand things. The purpose of AI Day was to recruit. When Tesla does events like AI Day, or Autonomy Day, or Battery Day, the purpose is recruitment. They want to bring in better employees, more applications from highly qualified people to say, hey, we're doing really cool stuff here. Come join us so you can participate. That's the purpose of those days, not to impress investors. Elon has never run the company. Gee, I wonder how we can make Wall Street like my company better. That thought has never entered Elon's mind. Get outside capital for X Twitter with assurances of no more Musk stock sales. What are you talking about? Everything I've seen, X is now basically cash flow neutral to positive. There's no problem here. And, Elon has said he doesn't want to reduce his holding of Tesla anymore. So why would he sell stock? And second of all, this is not related to the mission. If Elon decides he needs to sell stock for whatever reason he needs to sell stock for, that's Elon's call. He's going to have to sell stock at some point. He has more stock in Tesla than almost any other founder has in almost any other company I can think of. Right? He has, I think, effectively 19%. It's rare to see a founder with more than 10% at this point. So what are we talking about? Why is this a problem if Elon sells some stock? Why isn't it a problem with all these other companies that the CEOs have less than 10%? Why is it somehow special that Elon has nearly 20% and that's not enough for you? If it was down to 12%, it would still be more than pretty much any CEO anywhere in any company in the Fortune 500. So what are we talking about? And what does this have to do with accelerating the transition to sustainable energy, accelerating the transition to sustainable transportation, or increasing the probability that the future is good? Nothing. This is the thing. It doesn't matter how many presentations Elon does. Dan Ives is never going to understand the mission of Tesla. He's never going to understand the way Elon thinks, and he's never going to understand the mission of Tesla because he said it like probably 1,000 times. Accelerate the transition to sustainable energy, accelerate sustainable transportation. I don't know if they use that terminology, but that's pretty clearly what Tesla's doing, and increase the probability that the future is good. Never once heard Elon say, I wonder how we can make Wall Street investors, Wall Street analysts like the company better. Never once heard him talk about that. It's not a goal. New comp package with the proxy to lock in Musk as CEO through 2030. You can't lock somebody in. We have this 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. There's no slavery. We can't know with settling Delaware legal issue holding things up. Look, you can't do the comp package until the Delaware court rules. So when the Delaware court rules, we'll find out what they rule, and the Tesla board will sit down with Elon, and they'll come up with a new comp package. Will it lock him in through 2030? There's no locking in. He can leave whenever he wants. He's not a slave. You can't lock him in. Now, are you going to be okay if there's a comp package that says he gets 10% of the company if he delivers $10 trillion in market cap? An additional 10% of the company? You know, I've laid out a potential package where he gets, X million shares every 2 trillion, 4 trillion, 6 trillion, 8 trillion, $10 trillion market cap. Is Dan Ives going to say yes if Tesla awards him an outsized compensation package? Shareholders are going to vote yes for sure, but is Dan Ives going to criticize it? Would you think Dan Ives is going to be okay with it when it's announced? No. People like Dan Ives, Gary Black, Ross Gerber, they'll raise a stink. They'll always find something to criticize. They always will. These are people who think Elon is harming the company. The same people who say that Elon's bad for the company. Like if Elon left the company, why are we concerned about keeping Elon in? I thought Elon was a problem. I thought Elon's politics, Elon's behavior with X, I thought all this was a problem for Tesla. So you should be happy if he leaves. But we know. But now you want to lock him in as CEO. Why do you want to lock him in as CEO? Because if Elon left the company, the stock would fall 50% in a week, if not a day. Right? That doesn't mean long-term Tesla wouldn't maintain value and grow and 10x from where it is today. But if Elon left the company, that would destroy investor confidence in the company faster than anything. So we do want Elon as CEO or we don't? I wish the Wall Street people would make up their minds. Hittable production delivery timeline for Model 2 and sub 30K vehicle in 2025. Okay, so first of all, they haven't given us a timeline. They gave us a production timeline of second half of 2025. I thought that was way far out. But they've been very clear that they're going to be vague. They don't want to give away too much information to their competitors. I personally think they may deliver the next gen vehicle, and it's not called Model 2. God, they told us it wasn't called Model. It was like Battery Day. They said, no, we're not calling it Model 2. Why are you still calling it Model 2? And what is Model 2 and sub 30K vehicle? Is that two different vehicles or is it the same vehicle? And what is sub 30K? This is a thing that I feel like these guys don't get it, the Barry Glacks and whatever. I may be wrong about this. There's a lot I can be wrong about, but a $25,000 vehicle is not enough of a game changer to deliver the volume that they want to deliver with a next gen vehicle. It has to be better than $25,000. $25,000 is not a low enough price point. Tesla has to do more. All the stuff that they're talking about, all the stuff that they're doing, if they end up with a $28,000 vehicle, is that really a game changer? Is that going to sell 5 million plus units a year? I think they got to get it to 20, close to $20,000. I don't think 28,000 or 25,000. Now, look, I may be wrong, and they may have modeled it, and maybe there's some other perks with the vehicle, or maybe once it becomes a robo-taxi, that changes everything. It may be the optimal robo-taxi, and then Tesla's making it for themselves, right, or for fleets, and then it's fine. But to sell consumers on this vehicle, $25,000, it's good. Is it good enough to sell 5 million? I don't think so. With Zach Kirkhorn, the former CFO, gone, conference calls have been horror shows. Really? Return to formal guidance and goalposts and make messaging changes on calls. Okay, again, nothing to do with the transition to sustainable energy, nothing to do with sustainable transportation, nothing to do with making the future good. This is, we want you to kiss our ass and somehow, is there something wrong with Vaibhav? I thought Vaibhav was doing a good job as CFO. What did Vaibhav is the new CFO, former chief accounting officer. Did he do something wrong in the call? Did I miss something? I thought Vaibhav was fine. I thought it was a great conference call, investor call. I don't see the horror show. Where was the horror show? Return to formal guidance and goalposts. They can't give you guidance because they don't know what's going on with the economy. Are interest rates going up? Are interest rates going down? If interest rates stay high or they go up, sales are going to be lower. If interest rates drop, go from, Dirty Tesla just posted that he was going to buy a Cybertruck, but the bank, the loan was going to be like 8.3%. He's not buying it if the loan's 8.3%. If Dirty Tesla's not buying a Cybertruck because of the interest rate, that tells you interest rates matter, right? If interest rates come down to where Dirty Tesla can buy a Cybertruck for 4%, they're going to sell a lot more vehicles. It's that simple. It really is that simple. And they can't give you guidance because they don't know what's going to happen with interest rates. I don't know what's going to happen with interest rates. You don't know what's going to happen with interest rates. Dan Ives doesn't know what's going to happen with interest rates. These guys, they go la, 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 la. Elon's been very clear that interest rates are affecting what price point they can sell their vehicles at and how many vehicles they can sell. It's driven by macro. And if you don't understand, then I don't know if you've ever had a car payment, but if interest rates are 8% instead of 4%, then the car payment's a lot higher. It's just the way it is. Do aggressive AI acquisition spree and bring in outside capital to build out the AI component of Tesla. $30 billion of cash to fund deals. No. It's only $20 billion, you idiot. You already burned $10 billion of it on your stupid share buyback, so you don't have $30 billion of cash to fund deals. How much do you want to hold in reserve? You want to burn Tesla down to zero cash? Or do you think Tesla maybe ought to have a $10 billion cash pile? Well, okay, if you're putting $10 billion in a share buyback and you're holding $10 billion in reserve, then you got $10 billion to fund deals. And what are you buying? Why do they don't need to buy anything. This is the stupidity. They don't need to buy anything. They need to recruit. This is about recruiting talent. And they will pay for talent. But this is about recruiting talent. This is not about buying some stupid fucking company out there. I'm sorry, that's not what it's about. Aggressive AI acquisition spree. How much is this going to cost? Is this capital efficient? Do you understand that Tesla tries to be efficient with its expenditure of capital? Do you have any clue? And does this accelerate the trend? I would agree if they acquired some important AI company, like maybe Anthropic. I think Anthropic may have already been acquired by somebody else. Maybe Anthropic's up for grabs. You buy Anthropic, it's populated by a bunch of people who left OpenAI. Maybe that would make sense. I don't know. But how much would that cost? Would it be capital efficient? And wouldn't it be more efficient to just hire talent away from Anthropic? Just pay them more money and they'll come work for you. What is it? What's the secret sauce that Anthropic has that Tesla needs? I don't see it. And don't forget, a big chunk of Elon's AI efforts are in XAI, not in Tesla. And there's important stuff happening in XAI that will pay benefits to Tesla because we're going to see Grok in the cars or we're going to see Grok on bot. And Grok is from XAI. Lastly, he says, give long-term targets around AI revenue to the Tesla ecosystem. We're in a very uncertain world. The AI future is very, very hard to predict. So to give long-term targets around AI revenue is we don't know what the future looks like. We recognize that AI is going to be super important. We're seeing lots of big changes. I have my own look, you can look at my videos, Stephen Mark Ryan's videos. I think Farzad's done some videos. CERN Basher's done some videos around Optimus. You've seen models. I've had CERN on my channel. There are models for the value of Optimus. There are models for the value of FSD. There may be other value in AI, like there's value in potential Dojo as a training as a service, right? I've modeled all that. Stephen Mark Ryan's modeled all that. Farzad's probably modeled all that. Watch Herbert's channel. Watch conversations with CERN Basher. Watch any conversation with James Dowma. Plenty of us have talked about it. What do you need long-term targets for? The numbers are fucking huge. Okay, that's the answer. The AI revenue, if Tesla is successful in developing FSD, Optimus, AGI, the numbers are just fucking huge. That's the answer. It's like tens of trillions, maybe 100 trillion in market cap. And the models are there for anybody to look at. Just go on YouTube and watch us. It could be me, it could be CERN, it could be Steven. We've all modeled it out for you. It's all there. We believe Tesla could be the biggest AI company in the world around FSD, Autonomous Dojo, Optimus Robotaxis. Give this key AI framework to street investors. They've explained all this. Autonomy Day laid it out in 2019 for autonomy. Dojo was laid out in AI Day 1 and AI Day 2. Optimus was laid out in AI Day 1 and AI Day 2. Robotaxis was Autonomy Day. FSD was Autonomy Day. And all this stuff has been explained further in the AI days. What are you not paying attention to? You want Tesla to do another explanation after the stuff they've already explained that us moron YouTubers could figure out, but you can't figure it out? This is so stupid. So, all right, let me bring this back. I want to bring this back to what's important here. The focus is not make idiots like this happy. Okay, Wall Street idiots, that's not the focus of Tesla. It's accelerate the transition to sustainable energy. It's accelerate the transition to sustainable transportation, particularly Tesla. It's advanced manufacturing. And it's increase the probability that the future is good. That's what Tesla's about, not talk shit so that Wall Street analysts will understand. It's all been laid out, and if you didn't understand it, then you could have watched the Stephen Mark Ryan video. You could have watched my videos. You could watch Dave Lee. You could read posts from Jason DeBolt. You could watch Herbert's videos. You could watch Farzad's videos. You could watch Rob Maurer. He stopped. So Rob Maurer's gone. So I'm sorry. You can't watch Rob Maurer anymore. You can watch his old videos. All this stuff has been explained countless times by countless YouTubers and posters on X. And Elon has said a lot of it on X. You follow Elon on X, follow some of us YouTubers. We've explained it all for you. And Elon will often say that's good. Like Farzad had a post recently, and Elon said, great analysis. I don't know what more you need. I laid out my battery revenue model. Elon adopted the battery revenue model during an earnings call. I think the battery revenue model might now be dead because of everything's changed because of AI. But I should say Elon referenced something like my battery revenue model. I'm not claiming he copied my battery revenue model. He probably had this idea himself before I ever said anything. But the battery revenue model was laid out. The robotaxi model, he laid it out on Investor Day, and he specifically said 10 million robotaxis that Tesla would own. And I just built a model based on 10 million robotaxis. Like, it's just not fucking rocket science. All you got to do is watch our videos. But no, you need to have your list. These are 10 things I need you to explain to me because I'm a fucking moron and I can't watch YouTubers explain this stuff because, like, I can't, like, listen to Warren and Steven and Farzad explain this is how it works. Dave Lee, like, are we all idiots? Are we all, like, incompetent? Or, like, you can't understand us because we speak a foreign language? I don't understand what the problem is. So I'm sorry, Dan Ives, but Tesla's job is not to make Wall Street analysts happy by doing events and playing financial games to satisfy you. It's to accelerate the transition to sustainable energy, sustainable transportation, and to increase the probability that the future is good. And none of the crap you're talking about has anything to do with those goals. I hope this is helpful to Dan Ives and everyone else. Y'all have a nice day.